Have you watched 20 gabillion videos on GLP1s and everybody kind of says the same thing and you're just kind of like, this really isn't helpful? This is not one of those videos. So these are the 5 things that everyone on a GLP1 should be doing, and you've likely not heard these before. Hey everybody, it's Allie. I'm on a fantabulous weight loss quest, and hopefully you'll subscribe, come along for the ride, because I put out new videos every day. And today I'm going to be telling you the 5 things that everyone should be doing on a GLP-1 that you haven't already heard. So if you're thinking I'm going to tell you that you need to be hydrated or that you need to focus on protein, this ain't that video, babe. These are things that you don't hear people talking about, but they are just as important as all of those other things. So let's get into it. First things first, if you've been on my channel for any length of time, you know that I am a huge advocate for setting realistic expectations. If I had $1 for every time somebody said, I only lost this much weight, or I only did this much, I would be retired, okay? I wouldn't be making YouTube videos because everyone and their brother ends up saying that. And it's because we start out with a lifetime of diet culture garbage that has programmed us to think we can lose 10 pounds in 10 days. Except that's not how the body works. And for many of us who have the disease of obesity or any other diseases, right? We got diabetes, we got PCOS, we got, Hashimoto's, the list goes on and on and on. All of those things have kept our bodies from functioning properly. So when it does start to function properly on a GLP-1, all of a sudden we lose our noodle and we're just like, I need to be losing 5 pounds a week. Take a deep breath, calm down. It is really important that you set realistic expectations, and those expectations are going to vary from person to person. For example, if you are a slow responder and you also happen to be a type 2 diabetic like myself, you may end up losing just a couple of pounds in a month. And I just want to remind you that if you're not gaining, you're winning. And if you're losing weight, you're winning. Think about the time before the GLP-1 when you were constantly gaining weight. Let's keep that in the back of our mind. Number 2 is going to seem like a no-brainer, but I'm going to give you a little bit of insight here. So number 2 is nutrition. You need to focus on nutrition. And I'm not talking about being in a calorie deficit. I'm not talking about tracking your calories or tracking your food. I'm talking about nutrition. So often we become hyper-focused on a singular thing that we need to do, like tracking calories or being in a calorie deficit, and we lose sight of the bigger picture. Being on a GLP-1 is an opportunity for you to completely revamp your life, but you can't do that overnight. It's not a magic pill, it's not a magic bullet, but if you use it as a tool in your arsenal of tools, you will be able to build a strong foundation that carries you for the rest of your life. Whether you plan to be on a GLP-1 for the rest of your life or you plan to come off, it doesn't matter. Building these healthy habits now, while you have this tool to help you, is going to be beneficial for you in the long run. So what do I mean by nutrition? I mean, we need to be looking at eating the healthiest foods that we possibly can. Now, I understand that for many people, especially just starting out on a GLP-1, this can be really challenging. Your taste buds could be going haywire, right? Which happened to me on Mounjaro. I started getting the ick about everything, and I became really frustrated because everybody was like, you need protein, eat those eggs. And I was like, I can't stand eggs anymore. And then everybody's like, oh, just do the turkey, do the chicken. It's a lean protein. And I was like, I can't stand it. Now what do I do? There are challenges and bumps that you will hit along the way. It's important to remember that you have to keep trying until you find something that you do like, that doesn't give you the ick, that helps you reach your nutritional goals. And if I could encourage you to do one thing that you take away from this video, it's keep it simple. There's no reason to create these elaborate meals with 20 gabillion ingredients that you are already challenged in tracking the calories for, and then the portioning. There's no reason to do that to yourself, especially if you're just starting out. Keep it simple. For example, I was really craving a BLT the other day, and I decided I was going to cook up some turkey bacon, cut up tomatoes and some other vegetables, and then put them in romaine lettuce boats, if you will. And I got to satisfy that craving of having a BLT without all of the extra that would have put me over in my calories. What I ended up eating was very nutritious. It had some fat, it had some protein, it had some carbs from the vegetables. Of course, it's got lots of fiber from the vegetables, which is key. And it helped me to move through that kind of ruminating thought of, oh man, I'd really like to have a BLT. So get creative, but don't get so creative that you're going off the deep end. Number 3, be mindful of your feelings. Now, for many of us, we ended up obese because we ate our feelings, and we had lots of feelings and we ate all of them. I'm talking about me. So it can be very challenging to go from using food as a comfort to then switching over to another mindset where food is just fuel. It's not a means of making you happy or getting you through when you're sad. So be mindful of your feelings and don't run from your feelings. This can be really challenging because I can remember, especially for starting out, that there were a lot of things that I didn't know how to handle. There were a lot of things that were really overwhelming. And I just decided, hey, I'm just going to sit with these feelings. I'm going to work through it. And I'm not going to allow myself to use food as a crutch. Again, whether you like it when you're happy, you like it when you're sad, you like it when you're angry, whatever the case may be, it's important to not run from those feelings. Do not squash them down, right? Because that's part of what we were doing before with the food. The other thing that you want to keep in mind, if you're not somebody who suffers with that sort of challenge, is the way that your body is not necessarily designed to be in a caloric deficit for a long period of time. What do I mean? What does this have to do with mind and feelings? Well, for many people, they find that when they're in a calorie deficit, aided by a GLP-1 for a long period of time, they become grumpy McGrumperton. They become very antsy, they become very irritable, and they don't understand why all of a sudden everyone is very angry with them. This can be challenging, but I would implore you to be mindful of how you're treating others and be open to any feedback that any of your friends or family may give you about your level of grumpy McGrumperton. There's already so much that you need to learn when getting on a GLP-1, and I'm going to add one more to that list with number 4, which is learn portion control. This can be incredibly challenging, especially if you're in the United States where everything is giant portions. Everything. Fast food, food from restaurants, to-go food. It's all ridiculous. You go into your granny's house and she's loading you up for the day. It is crazy. Our plates keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And in return, our bodies are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So learn portion control. There are many different ways that you can go about doing this. There are various tools that you can use to help you along the way. Here is an example of one of those tools. You can get these on Amazon. They come in various sizes, but it helps you to visualize, right, what your plate should look like. For many people, having an option like this is very helpful, especially if you're just starting out. The other thing you can do is you can opt for smaller bowls and plates. Now, this was something that really helped me and continues to help me to this day. I actually got an entirely new dish set. So instead of having plates that are this size, I now have bowls and plates that are much smaller. Because what I had to learn specifically about portioning is you can always go back for more. You don't have to have this giant heaping plate. You can get more food. There's more food if you want it. Or maybe you want to save it for later and eat a little bit more later. You don't have to overstuff, overpile, right? And this is a mindset that can be very challenging to break. Another thing that I love is fun items that make food prep exciting. So this is my bento box, and I know that it looks really big on camera, but once you start to put food in these spaces or sauce here in the middle, it gets filled up very quickly. It's very shallow. So another really fantastic option as far as portion control. And the great thing is you don't have to eat everything that's on your plate. I specifically implemented a rule for myself that I would leave at least 2 bites left on every plate. And this can be really challenging, but it helped me in the long run to A, not overeat, and B, to learn or unlearn, I should say, that whole you have to clear your plate thing. It's okay to stop when you're no longer hungry. Last but not least, don't give up. Now, again, this seems really straightforward, but there are so many people, especially newbies starting out on a GLP-1, that get incredibly frustrated either by the rate of their weight loss or with side effects, and they end up giving up. It is important that you have a good relationship with your medical provider, whether you're using your local GP, a specialist of some sort, or you're using a telehealth company, whatever the case may be. You need to make sure that you have open communication with them and that their answers to your questions are helpful. It's also important to have community. So if you're looking for a positive only support group, I've got you covered. Link is in the description box below. But whether it's on Facebook or Reddit, or you like to join lives, right? Whatever the case may be, find your group of people. And while I don't recommend asking them medical questions, it is good to have a community that can say to you, hey, I understand that you're having XYZ symptom. I had the same thing. Here's what I used to help me get through it, or here's what I told my doctor so that I could get something to help me. It's important to communicate. People who are isolated, who do not have good medical providers that can help them and do not have a community, will drop off of a GLP-1 and completely miss out on this awesome opportunity to change their life. Now, the numbers used to be previously last year that roughly 23% of people who started a GLP-1 would quit within the first 3 months. That number has dropped. And I think that it comes from the online community, videos like this, people having live sessions where they're answering questions, which I do once a week. Make sure you subscribe. And people finding community and understanding that they're not alone in this journey. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe. I'd love to have you along for the ride. Again, if you're looking for a positive-only support group, I've got you covered. Link is in the description box below, along with lots of other links to fantastic items that can help you on your GLP-1 journey. So definitely check those out. And as always, be kind, rewind.